Lower upfront building costs. Building a tiny house typically costs a fraction of what a traditional retirement home would cost, often ranging from $20,000 to $60,000 depending on materials and location. This gap comes down to simple math. Fewer square feet means less lumber, less flooring, less roofing, and far less labor overall. For retirees living on fixed incomes, that lower price tag can mean the difference between draining a nest egg and preserving it for decades of daily expenses. Many buyers also choose to self-build or hire small local contractors, cutting costs even further compared to a standard home construction crew. What makes this appealing isn't just the smaller number on the price tag, but what it frees up elsewhere, since savings that would have gone toward a mortgage can instead cover healthcare, travel, or simply peace of mind. Still, the final cost varies wildly based on custom features, land purchase, and permitting fees, so the sticker price alone rarely tells the full story. Reduced property taxes. Because tiny houses occupy less square footage and often sit on smaller parcels of land, the property tax bill that comes with them tends to shrink accordingly. Many local governments calculate taxes based on assessed structure size and land value, so a 400 square foot home naturally lands in a lower bracket than a 2,000 square foot house. For someone living on Social Security or a modest pension, that difference adds up meaningfully every single year. Some retirees intentionally choose tiny homes on wheels specifically to sidestep certain property tax structures altogether, since a mobile dwelling can sometimes be classified differently than a permanent structure. That said, tax rules vary enormously by county and state, and what qualifies as relief in one area might not apply in another. Anyone considering this path usually needs to check local assessment codes carefully, rather than assuming savings will automatically follow. Lower utility and maintenance costs. A smaller living space simply demands less energy to heat, cool, and light, and that shows up directly in monthly utility bills. Retirees moving from a large family home into a tiny house often report utility costs dropping by half or more within the first year. Maintenance follows a similar pattern, since fewer square feet mean fewer roof shingles to replace, less siding to repaint, and smaller systems to repair when something breaks. This matters enormously for aging homeowners who may not have the physical ability or desire to manage constant upkeep on a sprawling property. Many tiny house designs also lean on efficient appliances and simplified plumbing systems, trimming ongoing costs even further. The trade-off, though, is that repairs on custom-built or unconventional tiny homes can sometimes require specialized knowledge that a typical local contractor may not have on hand. Zoning and land restrictions. Before a single wall goes up, most retirees run into one of the biggest obstacles in the tiny house movement: local zoning law. Many municipalities still require homes to meet minimum square footage requirements, which can immediately disqualify a 400 square foot dwelling from being built as a primary residence. Some areas classify tiny homes on wheels as recreational vehicles rather than permanent housing, which limits where they can legally sit for extended periods. Regulations shift dramatically from one county to the next, meaning a plan that works perfectly in one state might be entirely illegal a few miles across a border. This unpredictability catches many retirees off guard, since they often plan their build before fully researching local codes. Working with a knowledgeable local planner or attorney early in the process tends to prevent costly surprises down the road, and it remains one of the most overlooked steps in the entire tiny house journey. Financing difficulties. Because tiny houses fall outside the standard mold of conventional housing, they often don't qualify for traditional mortgages the way a regular home would. Banks typically base mortgage approval on appraised property value and long-term resale comparisons, and tiny homes frequently lack enough comparable sales data for lenders to feel confident. This pushes many buyers toward personal loans, RV loans, or straightforward cash payments instead, each carrying its own interest rates and repayment terms. Retirees relying on retirement savings may find this appealing since it avoids decades of mortgage interest, but it also means a much larger sum is needed upfront. Credit unions and specialty lenders have started offering more tailored tiny house loans in recent years, slowly closing this gap. Still, anyone drawn to this lifestyle for financial reasons should map out financing options early, since assuming a bank loan will work the same way it does for a standard home can lead to unwelcome surprises. Limited space for aging in place. A tiny house might feel charming and manageable at 65, but the same space can become genuinely difficult to navigate a decade or two later. Narrow hallways, compact bathrooms, and loft bedrooms accessed by ladders or steep stairs pose real challenges for anyone dealing with reduced mobility or balance issues. Aging in place typically requires wider doorways, walk-in showers, and single-level layouts, features that many tiny house designs simply weren't built around. Some builders now offer accessibility-focused floor plans, but they often require more square footage or a higher budget than the smallest, most cost-effective designs. This is a conversation many retirees postpone, assuming today's mobility will remain unchanged for years to come. Planning for future physical needs from the very beginning, rather than retrofitting later, tends to make the difference between a home that lasts and one that eventually forces another move. Emotional and physical downsizing. Moving from a house filled with decades of furniture, keepsakes, and family history into 400 square feet requires more than just packing boxes. Retirees often describe the downsizing process as one of the most emotionally taxing parts of the entire transition, sometimes harder than the financial planning itself. Letting go of a childhood piano, a garage full of tools, or an entire library of books forces difficult decisions about what truly matters. Some people find the process surprisingly freeing, describing a sense of lightness once the excess is gone. Others struggle with the loss more than they expected, especially when downsizing coincides with other major life changes like retirement itself or the passing of a spouse. Either way, this emotional layer rarely gets enough attention in conversations that focus mainly on square footage and construction costs. Resale value uncertainty. Unlike traditional homes, tiny houses don't yet have a well-established resale market in most regions, which makes predicting future value genuinely difficult. A conventional house tends to appreciate steadily based on decades of comparable sales data, but tiny homes are still a relatively young category without that same track record. Buyers looking to resell often find a smaller pool of interested purchasers, since the lifestyle appeals to a specific type of buyer rather than the general housing market. Tiny homes on wheels depreciate somewhat like vehicles, losing value over time rather than gaining it, while tiny homes on permanent foundations behave a bit more like traditional real estate. This uncertainty means retirees banking on their tiny house as a future financial asset should treat that expectation cautiously rather than as a guarantee. For many, the appeal lies more in lifestyle and savings during retirement than in building resale equity for the future. Community and social isolation. Choosing a tiny house often means choosing a different kind of neighborhood, whether that's a dedicated tiny home community, a rural plot of land, or a relative's backyard. For some retirees, this shift brings welcome quiet and independence after decades of suburban noise and busy schedules. For others, it can lead to unexpected isolation, especially if the new location sits far from friends, family, or familiar social routines built up over a lifetime. Tiny home communities have grown in popularity partly to address this, offering shared spaces and built-in social connection among like-minded neighbors. Without that kind of intentional community, though, the transition can feel more isolating than anticipated, particularly for retirees who relied on nearby family or long-term friendships for daily interaction. Thinking through the social side of the move, not just the financial and physical side, often determines how well someone adjusts once the excitement of the new home settles into daily life. Long-term healthcare access. Retirement plans eventually intersect with healthcare needs, and where a tiny house sits on the map can significantly affect access to hospitals, specialists, and routine medical care. Many affordable plots of land available for tiny house living sit in rural areas, often chosen specifically for lower costs and more space. That same rural setting, though, can mean longer drives to the nearest clinic or emergency room, a trade-off that becomes more significant with age. Retirees managing chronic conditions or regular appointments may find themselves weighing the appeal of a quiet countryside plot against the practicality of staying closer to established healthcare infrastructure. Some choose a middle ground, settling on the outskirts of a town rather than deep in a remote area, balancing affordability with reasonable access to care. This factor rarely appears in glossy tiny house photos online, but it often plays one of the largest roles in whether the lifestyle remains sustainable over the full course of retirement.